that some of you might be interested in some insights into the Hurricane Katrina disaster that were not fully addressed in the case or in the online resources many of you referred to in your papers. I will use it as an example of a broader principle, the unintended consequences of government actions. Hurricane Katrina was an extremely powerful storm and would have done a great deal of damage in New Orleans and the surrounding area regardless of other factors. However, the storm surge that inundated New Orleans came up the Gulf Outlet Canal. The canal was constructed by the United States Army Corps of Engineers, who also maintained it with regular dredging. The canal channeled the storm surge directly into the heart of New Orleans and, in the opinion of many, contributed significantly to the massive failures of the region's hurricane protection network. The GOC was constructed to provide a shorter route to the port of New Orleans from the Gulf of Mexico because New Orleans felt disadvantaged by the length of time it took ocean-going freighters to negotiate the twists and turns of the Mississippi River as compared to much easier open water access offered by competitors such as the Port of Houston. Constructed in the 1950s at the behest of the congressional delegations from Louisiana and several upriver ports, it was completed in 1965. However, increasing competition from other ports continued to reduce activity in New Orleans. During a congressional hearing in 2005, questions regarding the $13 million annual maintenance costs were raised because of the extremely low traffic volume. Following Hurricane Katrina, the canal was closed and blocked to prevent further disasters. The business people and citizens who lobbied their congressional representatives to construct the canal were focused on the negative economic impacts associated with competition from other ports. Congress funded the project as a response to those concerns. The Corps of Engineers built and maintained the canal in response to the legislative mandate and appropriated funding. Most, if not all, interested parties were focused on immediate economic impacts. No one, to the best of my knowledge, ever examined other factors or considered long-term implications. This is not uncommon in public policy and, in my opinion, is the result of human frailty rather than malicious intent. We simply do not think beyond the immediate situation. As a result, public policies are frequently put into place without consideration of their implications or interactions with other policies. Another good example, taken from the current news, involves the Highway Trust Fund. The federal gasoline tax, assessed on a per-gallon basis, generated well over half of all fund revenues since its inception in 1956. Since the 1970s, federal environmental policies aimed at improving automobile mileage, combined with market forces, significantly reduced gasoline usage and Highway Trust Fund revenues. The Highway Trust Fund's administrators must make long-term commitments because of the nature of the capital improvements they fund. The funding mismatch was evident but ignored for many years. Reconciling the conflicting policies, perhaps by increasing the gasoline tax or adding additional revenue sources, was never seriously considered. As a result, Congress has been forced to make general fund appropriations to make up the growing shortfalls since 2008. Any appropriation from general fund revenues reduces the money available for other purposes. So the Highway Trust Fund problem cascades through the federal budget and on into state and local budgets. As public administrators, you will be faced throughout your career with unintended consequences arising from well-intentioned, if ill-considered, public policies. Part of your challenge will be to manage these problems. Knowledge is the first step in that process. As you continue through the program, we will discuss many wicked problems and examine the outcomes associated with the policy initiatives designed to address them. We will continue to acquire the analytical skills to evaluate public policy and the communication skills to effectively inform policymakers of our findings.